Please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. You're welcome to American Spaces Nigeria, the conversation with an alum. I hope you're ready for us today because it's going to be very, very promising. My name is Martins Adogbajale from Abeokuta, Window on America in Ogun State, Nigeria. Today, we are going to be having a conversation with an alum, and I'll be reading a short bio of Mr. Akeem Aponmade Esq.
Aponmade.
Akeem Aponmade Esq is the founder and principal counsel of A&O Aponmade Co. He's a leading intellectual property lawyer with over 3 decades of experience in anti-piracy, brand protection, and IP enforcement. He began his career with International Federation of Pornographic Industry, IFPI, rising to CEO of its Nigerian office before serving as a consultant, and has since then held numerous appointments with the Nigerian Copyright Commission, Lagos State, and National Piracy Committees, the Motion Picture Association, and Business Software Alliance. His expertise has taken him to international platforms hosted by bodies such as the UNODC, WCO, Interpol, and the US Embassy ICHIP program. He's a member of several global IP networks, including INTA, where he co-chaired the Africa Global Advisory Council. He has also led sensitization projects under the World Bank's GEM project and founded the ROO Aponmade Foundation to promote IP education in schools. It's a very long bio. So in summary, he's an active member of the NBA Ikeja branch. He has served in several leadership and disciplinary roles and holds a degree in political science, law, and taxation, having been called to bar in 2005. So please, ladies and gentlemen, all our guests all over Nigeria, please put your hands together, virtual hands together, as we welcome Mr. Akeem Aponmade. And I would say it's an honor to read your bio, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adogbajale. Before we call on our distinguished guest, Barrister Akeem Aponmade, that's the correct pronunciation. I would like to please, let's make this very interactive. We're not going to wait till the end to ask you to put your questions. You have heard his bio, you have heard his area of interest. This is the time for you to push out your questions. So thank you very much, Mr. Aponmade. First, we would like you to, tell us, in a nutshell, what has been your experience in practice, so that people will understand where you are coming from.
Okay. First, I want to say good morning to all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen hearing me this morning. It's such a great pleasure to be the speaker at this month's program. And I must thank Mr. Samuel Itayo and his wonderful team for giving me the honor of inviting me. It is not taken for granted. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now, my experience in practice, I will actually divide it into 3 phases because the reason why I am here before all of you today is because of my interest in protection of intellectual property rights. That was the theme of my IVL program in 2009. Before I participated in the United States International Visitors Leadership Program, my journey in IP started as far back as 1990, when I was employed by the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry. And I repeat, phonographic, not pornographic. Phonogram means record. So IFPI, that's the acronym, is the Global Record Industry Association. It is headquarters in London. At that time, we had offices in 92 countries of the world, Nigeria being one of them. And it was a federation, so each country had its own national group, which now formed the entire IFPI structure. And the primary purpose of that association in protecting the interests of its members is to fight music piracy, that is copyright infringement. I just had a degree in political science, and I was employed to handle administrative matters. But not long after I joined, I was moved to enforcement. And that's how the trajectory of my life changed and made me to become what God has brought me to be today. And that's why I said in phases. So that first phase was that I was liaising with law enforcement agencies, the police, the customs, at the time when EFCC was established, EFCC, and I was training the officers as well. And later, I began to relate with the U.S. mission because our interest coincided in that they are interested in the protection of the property rights of their citizens in Nigeria as well. And the period 1990 to say about 2000 was a period where intellectual property rights just gaining, prominence. People were not so aware. I remember early in 1990 when we went to Onitsha to conduct an enforcement action and went to the police, to the area command there. And the area commander said, okay, what have you come to do? Said, look, see this cassette, Mike Okri. This is fake and this is original. They are doing thousands of these in Onitsha, and we want them raided so that all this will be seized. And the man said, are you telling me you look at the original cassette, you look at the fake? The labels were almost similar. Everything was just a look-alike. He said, are you telling me that this is fake? I said, yes, this is fake. And it's done here in Nigeria. I said, yes. Here in Nigeria, I said, yes. Sir, then why do you want to arrest them? Is it not this the way that Taiwan and China started? We should be encouraging these people. That will tell you the low level of knowledge regarding issues of intellectual property protection in Nigeria at the time. So it was really a tough matter for us, working with law enforcement agencies and officers who did not have much knowledge about what copyright is all about, what trademark is all about. But we were able to do a lot working with the Nigerian Corporate Commission. Also at that time, the Nigerian Corporate Commission was not what it is today. It was first established as an administrative body. It was through the efforts of the IFPI under my leadership that we were able to get the Corporate Act at the time to be amended first in order to allow the Corporate Commission to undo criminal enforcement. Now, that is one phase. What sometimes when I ask myself, how did I get to be nominated to participate in the US IVLP? Up to today, I don't have the answer. But when I think introspectively, I tell myself, I've always had three things going for me. And I'm saying this because this forum was established in the wisdom of the US Consulate General for listeners, participants amongst you, to learn one or two things. It is meant to inspire you. So whatever I say, it is not for the purpose of boasting or to make myself look good in your eyes, but rather to drop something that can inspire you. Now, I said I've always had three things going for me, which helped me in the work that I have been doing. One, I am bold. Two, I am incorruptible. And thirdly, whatever I do, I have a strong passion for it. I do it passionately. I wouldn't know whether during my interactions with the staff of the Consulate General, I was being watched. All I know is that one day I got a mail. I got a call directing my attention to the mail, asking me to bring my passport to the embassy, to the consulate, to get a visa to attend this program. And that's it. So I am encouraging you, whatever you do, be passionate about it.
Thank you.
Whatever you do, be committed to it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kim. Certainly, I think you got it very, very right. IVLP, that the program that you went on, is not open for competition. It's actually meant to identify the Nigerians who have distinguished themselves in their different callings. And when exposed, they will do more. And that's exactly what you've been, the qualities they've seen in you, and that's why you are nominated. And this should be a lesson to all of us who are hearing us. Look, you have a lot to gain by not being corruptible. You have a lot to gain by being bold. You have a lot to gain from what he said by being passionate about what you do. And that's something you should take away from our discussion today. Now, let's go to the third leg, which is, let's just hold it, and you are still going to tell us about your experience in the US. But when you came back from the US, so what really happened? What changed? Did anything change?
Thank you so much. A lot of things change. As a matter of fact, my attending the program was a gift from the American government to me and to Nigeria. And the reason why I say that is that because of our constant criticism of the lack of action by the Nigerian Corporate Commission, the Director General at the time now decided to persuade the music industry leaders in the country and my head office in London that I should come over to head their enforcement department. It's like saying, okay, you know how to criticize, so come and do it. Let us see the way you can do it. So I resumed in May officially. Meanwhile, I've been nominated for this program since about February or March. So, and I was to travel just as I was resuming the Corporate Commission. So that program now served as an orientation training for me. So the things that I learned over there, I brought them back to Nigeria and I applied this to the work that I was doing at the Corporate Commission. And it is on record. I mean, if you meet anybody that worked in the Nigeria Corporate Commission between 2009 and 2011, and you just mention Akeem Aponmade, you are free to write online whatever they say, because I left an indelible mark in IP enforcement in Nigeria, which has not been equaled before or after till today.
Wow, that's interesting. So the impact was so much.
It was heavy.
Yeah. I mean, it was as if everything was organized for you.
Exactly, sir.
Oh, thank you. There's something that I've been, you've been talking about IP, and I know quite a few of us may know what IP copyright is all about. And like you said, even the officer that you approached thought what these people were doing was should be encouraged, you know. And I know some students, as they are listening to me, some of them will just go to the library, take a book, photocopy the whole book, and they don't mind whether there's anything copyright. Could you just give us a little information, like so that we can open our eyes to what this copyright and IP is all about?
Thank you, Mr. Itayo. I mean, this is a very good question, and I want my listeners to please listen attentively. Amongst you listening to me are multi-millionaires, potential multi-millionaires, billionaires, because unless you do not strive to discover it, God has deposited in each and every one of us a particular creative talent, and sometimes maybe more than one, maybe multiple. That and intellectual property is about how to protect that gift that God has given you when you turn it to something that can be seen, or that can be felt, or that can be touched, or that can be perceived, whether heard or seen. Now, we say intellectual property is a product of intellectual exertion. When God gives you the gift of singing, some women in those days when we were growing up, and this I didn't grow up in flats, these modern day apartments. So you wake up in the morning, you hear one woman washing, doing her laundry outside the house or behind our quarters, and she'll be singing, and you'll be wondering where that voice was coming from. Now, if she leaves it at that level, That is creativity. But if she lives at that level, she can never make anything out of it. And that woman, if she has just exerted efforts, made efforts to turn that gift into something that people can have access to, she may become the breadwinner for her entire family. She may become a multimillionaire. When they say that the richest place on earth is a cemetery, what they are referring to is that there are many people who have died and been buried with their talents because they never made efforts to turn them into money. So all the money they will have made has gone with them. Now, I said intellectual property is the product of intellectual exertion, the product of the mind. And they are in two categories. You have what we call copyright on one side, and you have what we call industrial property on the other side. So what is copyright? The law recognizes that certain categories of works, they are those that will be considered to be protected by copyright. And which is that if you produce any of such works, you have a right to say nobody can do with regards to those works what you alone can do unless they come to collect license from you, permission from you. And that is what turns copyright into worse. For instance, music. If you create music, nobody can record that music, nobody can sell that music, nobody can distribute that music, nobody can adapt that music and turn it to something else. Nobody can use that music in a film unless they obtain your permission. You are the only person who can do anything you like with it because it is your property. So that is where, and today, by the grace of God, I am solicitor to Evangelist Ebenezer Obey, Commander. Almost on a daily basis, we prepare agreements, corporate licensing agreement. Well, Baba has written and performed several songs that today's artists, these modern day artists, they are interested in turning them into new works. So they must come to him to obtain his permission, and then they pay him for it. And now, films, books. See, if I ask you who are the 10 richest people on earth, you will not find anyone who has a refinery like Dangote amongst them. None of them is an oil magnate. They are all multi-billionaires by virtue of creativity. The richest woman in the UK, her name is Rowling, J.K. Rowling. She is the author of the Harry Potter series. It is by virtue of copyright that she's as rich as she is today. This was a woman that at a time in her life considered suicide. But when she turned her God-given talent into what people can see, they can read, then her life changed. Now, with regards to industrial property, which is the other side of intellectual property, you have trademarks, you have patents, you have industrial designs, you have geographical indications, and so on. And these ones, they are in different parts. So today, when you talk about trademark, for instance, in terms of beverages, you have Milo, you have Bonvita, you have Ovaltine. But there are some people that even if they cannot find Milo in the market, they will go to the next shop and the next one and the next one until they find it, even though there's Bonvita, there's Ovaltine. And the same thing with those who love Ovaltine. They don't want to drink anything else. Why? It is not, if when you put the substance inside each of them in hot water, they taste almost the same. It's like Coca-Cola and the Pepsi and the Biggie Cola or whatever. But the mark on the bottles or on the container is what distinguishes one from the other. And that is what attracts people to say, look, I am a Coca-Cola person. If you pour Pepsi drink inside the Coca-Cola bottle and give it to somebody else, I mean, who loves Coca-Cola, he may finish drinking it before you know that there's a difference. And today, in the developed world, Coca-Cola's trademark alone, that is the registered trademark alone, is enough to take to the bank and use as a collateral to obtain huge sums of loan in billions of dollars. And please allow me one more second to explain this. There are some of us who would not like to be seen dead with a Samsung. It is iPhone they want to use forever. Now, if the store where they keep all iPhones, new ones, if they are burnt to ashes today, and there is no one single iPhone available, if Apple goes to a bank and obtains a loan and puts up a factory tomorrow, and that factory begins to produce iPhones, and they put the Apple logo on it, people will rush to buy it. Those who are addicted to iPhones, they will begin to buy it and the company will come back to life. But now, for you to know the problem with counterfeiting, which is IP theft, if you buy an iPhone, but you discover that somebody just faked the logo, it is not an iPhone, it does not work like an iPhone. Tomorrow you will not buy the iPhone again, you'll be afraid to buy an iPhone. So if you are afraid, and I'm afraid, and other people are afraid, before you know it, that company will go down because they will not be able to sell their products. So IP theft is more pernicious, is evil, is more dangerous than an earthquake destroying the factory of Apple, where iPhones are stored. So, and the same thing with copyright theft, which we call piracy. If you create music, but people are pirating your work, or you make a movie, and before you're able to make anything out of it, people have made several thousands and millions of copies and they are selling them. Then how will you be able to recoup the money that you spent in making it? And let me tell you, particularly in the music and film industries, out of 10 releases, you only find up to 3 market successes. But pirates will not touch those 7 that failed. They will not join in sharing the market on the 3 successful ones. So at the end of the day, your revenue is reduced, and so the money that you will have to invest on new ones will not be available. Research and development will not be able to do. So it is not only those who the corporate owners, IP owners alone that suffer. Even the society suffers as well. Take, for instance, the accident that happened recently with regards to a lift that failed in a hospital, and one young doctor died.
Yes.
I am waiting to see the report of that incident, the medical report, because because I know that the use of fake bearings, for instance, can cause lift accidents. The use of fake bearings. And see, you go to the market in Nigeria, there are so many fake products. What we ingest in our body, what we use that are issues of public safety, brake pads, vehicle pads, airplane pads. So it is not just those who are the brand owners, the IP owners that are suffering. The common man in the country, if you use a fake medicine to treat a real sickness, what you are going to have is a real death, not a fake death. And it affects all of us.
Very much. Thank you very much for that explicit discussion on IPA. I believe we have all been educated on this. In my growing years, there's this Bubulere kind of a person who lived right within the house. The man will go and buy one record. Once they release it like this, we'll buy one and start multiplying, and people are queuing up to get whatever. And I'm talking about 70s now. So the guy will keep playing it, and you see people say, record, you know. And the man is making a lot of money from the sweat of another person. So this is a lesson to us. And I like the way you have also explained to us that we should really develop our creativity. I believe, just like you said, all of us are creative. The only thing is, how are we developing those creativity? Do we have questions? We've gone halfway now. Do we have questions? Can anybody show me? Is there anyone who has put in any question? I'm checking the chats. Okay. Is there anything there?
Yes, there is.
Okay, there's a question for you, sir, from Enugu. He said, sir, given your experience in intellectual property law, I want to know if you have any advice for law students like myself who are passionate about human rights law. There is a perception that this field is not lucrative as it often involves advocating for vulnerable groups such as women and children. Sir, what is your perspective on this matter? Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. When you say that you are into human rights law and intellectual property law, they are not in the same category. So you need to understand that first. But they are not mutually exclusive to each other. Not at all. By the grace of God, as you heard from my bio, I entered into the IP field as a political science graduate. It was later I went back to study law. And because this has been my field even before I became a lawyer, so it's only expedient that this would be my natural habitat as a lawyer. And what I've seen is that it is still a growing field. It's not yet saturated. Yes, there isn't money in it like in real estate, but there are several areas in IP law where you can sit down well and make money. Every day, the Nigerian government is appealing to foreign investors to come to Nigeria. When they come, they come with a full portfolio, including their intellectual property, which they will want to see protected. So they need lawyers. I have had the privilege of serving as counsel to a number of multinational companies in Nigeria, Microsoft, Hewlett Packard, Pfizer, Moet and NSC. You know, there are so many of them that are in Nigeria, and they need lawyers. So, and also, you must also acknowledge the fact that the entertainment industry in Nigeria is expanding on a daily basis. So, who will serve this growing industry? So, don't be discouraged. I believe that when you are diligent in what you do, certainly there will be enough space for you in any area of life.
Thank you, sir. Let's quickly go to Uyo. Uyo, please, can you raise your hand? I mean, yes, go ahead.
All right, so I have 2 questions to ask. Concerning the copyright, what we discovered here, some lecturers in the university, they duplicate someone else's textbook or materials and now issue it out to students as lecture materials. So can we now say that that is a breach of the copyright law? Then my second question, does this intellectual property has an expiry date? So I would like you to please give me an answer to those questions.
Thank you very much. Very intelligent questions you've asked. The last question is that, yes, when it comes to copyright, there is every work has a duration after which it goes into what we call the public domain. And the same applies to industrial property as well. The only difference is that industrial property, when the duration expires, it is renewable. But when it comes to copyright, it is not renewable. For instance, if you are an author and you write a book, the duration for that work to be protected, that you cannot, anybody wants to use it must seek your permission, is throughout the period of your life. If you wrote it last year and God now gives you 100 more years to live on earth, we start counting until that 100 years. When plus, if, let us assume it is your dad, I don't want to use you as an example now, and your dad now dies in 100 years' time, we now begin to count. If he dies in February of a particular year, we will start counting from 1st of January of the following year, and we count 70 more years. After that, the book enters into public domain. Anybody can use it without seeking your permission. But if it's a record or a film produced by a company, even if it's produced by an individual, but it is a film, it's a sound recording, then it is 50 years from the following year after the work was done. If the work was done this year, they start counting from 1st of January next year. I'll count 50 years. So that's a duration. Now, the first question that you asked, please remind me the question again.
Observing the system, the university system, when lecturers will now.
All right, I remember now. Oh, it's okay, I remember now. Now, you see, the copyright system takes into consideration the need for members of the society to have access to what you have made of the God-given talent that God has given you. So the law wants to strike a balance between the need for students to have access to the books written by authors. So for that reason, photocopying is allowed. But it must be balanced against the interest of the authors to earn a fair remuneration from the works that they have done. Because if they did not take the extra effort to publish the work, to write the books, how will the society be able to get the books? And so there's a system called collective administration of copyright, which is in place in Nigeria. And what is that collective administration of copyright? That for each category of works, for instance, literary world now, literary work, you have publishers and authors grouped together. The law is that the authors and publishers will come together and form a collective management society or company. They will have their staff. The staff will now go to different universities, to those people who are making photocopies, and license them. They will agree on the terms of the license. If you make each copy that you make, we are entitled to 0.000% of what you charge. So at the end of each period that they agree to, then they will remit the money so made to that society. And the society will now distribute the money amongst its members. So everybody is happy. The authors, they make their money, and the students, they have their materials. Now, in the music industry, it's the same principle. Today, as we speak, there are several FM stations that are broadcasting music, playing music, free of charge. That many people they don't even bother to buy cassettes or CDs or whatever, because they have access to music. So meanwhile, those radio stations are using such music to attract adverts to themselves. The more music a station plays, the more listenership it will have. I don't know whether you are aware that there are AM stations and there are FM stations. People listen to FM stations more than they listen to AM stations. And because FM stations play more music than AM stations. So that means that the law says, if you are using people's works, people's music to make money, then you must pay for it. We cannot stop you, because if we stop you, then members of the society will not have access to this music. And they are supposed to have access to it because it is God-given. But at the same time, the makers of the music they are entitled to a fair remuneration from the work that they have done. So they now created, the law now allows musicians and record companies and music publishers to come together, form societies, and they now license these stations. So they pay them, because if you don't have such a collective body, what will happen is that you want Sonny to be going to all the stations in the country to collect his own money, Davido to go to all the stations to be collecting his own money. That is impossible. But by virtue of belonging to one society and giving them the authority to collect money on your behalf, they will collect such money and then they will share. And it's not just radio stations, airlines, hotels, anywhere where music is used for commercial purposes, they have the right to collect such money and then they give it to them, to the members.
Thank you very, very much. I believe you have done justice to those questions. Let's quickly go to Mr. Martins Adogbajale, then we'll go to Calabar, and we'll end up with Duse.
Thank you very much. Mr. Aponmade. Yes, I want to ask, though you explained it, but I need clarity. If, for instance, a very popular artist in Nigeria releases a song in his album, and juju musicians started using that song, of course, if you are singing at the party, you sing a lot of songs, and you are singing other people's songs at the party. At the end of the party, they will record the songs and they will release it to the public. Now, are they mandated to pay something like maybe royalty or pay for copyright? Thank you.
Sir, in addition to that, some of them also will now post that on their YouTube, and they'll be making more money from YouTube as well.
Thank you very much, sir. As I said earlier on, the IP field is an evolving field in Nigeria. It's just developing. There is still so much infringement going on in the country that the system has not been able to capture properly. There's so much work to be done. First, in answering your question, for an artist to perform anywhere and make use of the work of another artist without obtaining that person's license, either before or after, is illegal and is actionable. Now, to turn it into a medium that you can then reproduce and to sell it is building illegality upon another illegality. So to put it on YouTube, I mean, I don't think I need to say more about that too. In fact, I need to point out to you that there are so many works on YouTube today that were posted there of different artists that the artists themselves, they have no involvement in. They were not consulted, and some people are making money from the works of another art of somebody else. And these people that are posted, they are not even artists themselves. So different kinds of illegality is going on in our country, and until people begin to challenge these things, before we can have, sanity brought into the industry, brought into the IP area, entirely.
Thank you very much, sir. Calabar, please unmute yourself. Then we'll go to Duse, and then we end. Okay, we still have more hands. Let's see. Go ahead, please.
Yes, from Calabar, my question is going to be this way, a little bit from the usual music. We are looking at sustainability, that is originality and doctoring something from the original base. I want to use Cross River State, for example. We have two very distinctive wood. The Absiria africana, the yellow and the red upper, only found in Cross River State tropical rainforest. And we all know that if the environment is not conducive, you can't do anything. You can't study, you can't live, you can't create anything if it's distorted. Now, relating the copyright intellectual property in terms of the laws of the land collectively is a problem. The forest is seriously distorted, and the government as an entity, what are they doing? At some point, the advocacy for consistency and sustainability is overwhelmed because they themselves are loggers. Instead of helping to sustain and create the environment for us to have safety. In this scenario, where some persons rather prefer to take the shortcut, destroying the basement of originality, how does this work if there is no political will and that synergy between the executive and the legislative arm, that they should work together to ensure sanity in the land? How do you relate this? Because it's a challenge in the country.
So in short, can you just summarize it now?
The thing is, government, the political will, especially the legislative arm of government are different, both the states and the National Assembly should synergize and be sincere in their operations. That is when we now have a process that intellectual property can work properly in the country. Otherwise, there is a challenge.
Thank you.
Mr. The gentleman that just spoken now, you said you are taking us out of IP. Indeed, you took us out of IP because what we're talking about, I think, is more of conservation than the intellectual property rights. But by mentioning, things that are peculiar to Calabar or to Cross Rivers, I want to mention that even though that is outside IP, but copyright in particular and IP in general protects traditional knowledge. Is one of the things that that the law, takes care of, and it's covered by international conventions too. That there are certain things that there's certain knowledge peculiar to people of different places. So such knowledge, the law protects. That if somebody from take for instance the making of a particular type of agbo, that is herbs. If somebody from another country tries to take that away from, say, the Ibibio people, to take it to their country and to make use of, is something that is actionable. That is one. Then you have geographical indication as a species of IP, which is that there are certain products that the names of the places where they come from are associated with the product. You cannot make a champagne from elsewhere other than from France. Because champagne is a wine region in France. And that's what some people have advocated for, what we call this Galijebu. So, but the question is more about conservation than on IP. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do say very quickly. Do say. Do say, please unmute yourself and let's be quick. Time is running out.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Yeah, first of all, I want to appreciate you for your lecture, sir. I have about 3 questions.
Thank you.
Make
And
it 2.
number 1 is based on... Sir?
Make it 2. Quick. We're running out of time.
All right. The first one is based on the question one guy asked concerning corporate right laws and sharing of materials, I mean publications by various authors. So my question is, there are some publications that are shared, but they are limited. I mean, they are limited among group of people, maybe scholars, academic scholars, or students. Does this violate copyright laws? That is that concerning the first one. And the second one is, there are certain type of offenses that are in a particular jurisdictions that are not in other jurisdictions. So if a particular person violates copyright law in China, it does not necessarily violate copyright law in USA. So what is being done to mitigate this? Thank you very much.
Okay. I like to start from last question. Intellectual property is a domestic affair. Each country has its own laws. So even though there are international conventions, but countries are free to enter into conventions and they're free, to come out of it. So, and when you enter into a convention on IP, you make laws in your country that will be in line with the convention that you have signed. So if you are not part of that convention, nobody can hold you responsible. So the question now is, if an infringement takes place, where has it taken place? If it has taken place in Nigeria, then it is the Nigerian law that will apply. If it has taken place in China, it is the Chinese law that will apply. So that settles that. Then the issue of making photocopies of any work, especially, is an infringement. Take that. It's an infringement. Now, but what makes it actionable is the quantum of what is photocopied. If you are photocopying a whole book, then what have you left with the author? But I now say that in Nigeria, there is a system whereby in higher institutions, those who do photocopying business, they pay for the photocopying that students come to do. The name of that company in Nigeria is called Repronig. And they license they go to all the institutions in the country and license the people running photocopying business. And by so doing, they have now mitigated. So those who pay, because the distinction between infringement and non-infringement is whether there's a license to do what you are doing or not. If there's a license for you to do it, then it's no longer illegal. But when you lack the license to do it, then what you are doing is absolutely illegal. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Wait. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. We did the explanation.
No, hold on. We have limited time. Let's quickly have Enugu now. We have just 2 minutes to go. And that's the last one. Enugu, quickly.
All right. Good morning, sir. My question is, I want to know what are the penalties and consequences for intellectual property right theft in Nigeria? Thank you.
Okay. I will just say broadly that they are in two categories. One, there's the criminal element, there's the civil element. When you infringe somebody's work, whether you counterfeit somebody's products or you pirate somebody's book or film or book, the government has a right to charge you to court, and you may be given a jail sentence or impose a fine on you. Two, whether government takes you to court or government did not take you to court, the owner of the product has a right to sue you and demand for damages from you. And also demand that what was recovered from you should be given to him, irrespective of how much damage that will be given to you. And also has the right to demand that you must give account of how much you have made on the work that you have done to date. So those are the two categories of the penalties that of the consequences of infringement. Thank you very much.
All right, and with that, we come to the end of today's edition. We want to thank Mr. Akeem Aponmade for this wonderful session we have had with him. Mr. Martins, please, can you wrap up for us? Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. To our speaker, Mr. Aponmade, we're very grateful for this exposure that you're giving to us today. And to all our directors across Nigeria, we say thank you for coordinating your spaces. And to our wonderful guests and listeners, we are happy that you came, and we hope to see you another time. So in case you don't know about the American Spaces, or in case it's the first time coming, you can please talk to the director of the space to give you more information about American Spaces Nigeria and the programs that we will be having. Our next program is next week, Monday, which is an employability webinar, and it's promising to be a very, very great one. So lastly, I want to say thank you very much for coming, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aponmade. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoy
very
your
much.
weekend.
Thank you, sir. Enjoy your stay there too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, sir.
Bye, everyone.